are what they represent. And therefore what we represent on the other side of that is freedom through democracy, human rights and the rule of law. It's very simple. This is an ideological fight. It is going to get worse, but the Western governments need to face up to this. There's no way of hiding any longer. China's ambition is to turn the world into China, and our job is to stop it. Yes, but you know, what is the lesson we learned from the 1930s? If you fear to speak out, then the other side will. If you fear to defend freedom, then freedom is lost. If we don't defend it here, we don't defend it in India, and we don't defend it in Japan or anywhere else, freedom is lost. And in Hong Kong, it's being lost right now. And too many politicians around the world have said a few things and done very little. It's what we do after the G7 that matters. And that needs to be, we take on China on its business, its investments, and we say to them, if you behave like this, then we cannot do business with you.
Are you satisfied with what the UK government has offered?
I'm never satisfied. And I'll never be satisfied until people are free. Very good. We're going to find...
underage group. But I think today we have to send another message. And that message is to the G7 leaders who are meeting in Cornwall right now. There is no greater issue today facing the G7, the leaders of the free world, than the disgraceful totalitarian behavior of the Chinese government in their suppression of Hong Kong, their genocide in Xinjiang of the Uyghur, their suppression of the Tibetans, persecution of the Christians in the Falun Gong, free people being deliberately destroyed by a policy of a government that threatens us all. I say to the G7, stand in solidarity with those who are oppressed in China and in Hong Kong. That is what free people should do, and the leaders of the free world must make a powerful statement or they will have failed at the G7. Freedom trumps everything. Fight for freedom! Fight for freedom! 光復香港！光復香港！第一步！
Thank you, Duncan Smith MP and Stephen Kinnock MP for their presence and words of encouragement to all of us. So I'm going to have a short speech, maybe in Cantonese and English as well. So my name is Fin La, one of the several Hong Kong activists in exile wanted under the Hong Kong National Security Law. I'm also one of the 10,000 arrestees of the Hong Kong pro-democracy movement. I'm also the founder of the Hong Kong Liberty Team. So as of today, we are going to have 51 cities across 22 countries to participating in the global campaign for Hong Kong. So this is a record high number in Hong Kong history, and we are going to make, we are making history right now. The year 2021 marks the second anniversary of the 2019 Hong Kong Revolution, the 180th anniversary of modern Hong Kong, as well as the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Hong Kong. And that's why we have so many supporters and NGOs supporting Hong Kong on the same day. So today also marks the 47th G7 summit in Cornwall. With the UK's presidency at the G7 summit, we urge the G7 summit to consider expanding into the D10 because there is the utmost importance to expand and to expand the democratic country leagues to contain China from other democratic countries, including Hong Kong and Taiwan. We are also grateful for the introduction of BNO visa scheme, and all kinds of support by the UK. So what is June 12th? June 12th, 2 years ago, after the 1 million march in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong government responded that the draconian extradition bill would be proceeded as usual. And on the 12th of June 2019, the second read will be held. As such, in response to such a disappointing decision by the Hong Kong government, the Hong Kong protesters gathered, more than 10,000 of them gathered near the Legislative Council building on that day as the last attempt to stop the bill. Because of the collaboration between the peaceful and violent protesters on that day, we succeeded in stopping the bill because they prevented the pro-Beijing legislator from entering the Legislative Council building to cast the vote. Since then, 12th of June has become a symbolic date to all of us. While we are urging the G7 member states and other democratic countries to adopt tough China policy against the CCP, I'm sure that Hong Kongers are also fighting back. Looking at the number of participants today, looking at the number of participating countries and cities today, I am sure that we are coming back. We are fighting back. We are striking back. Thank you.
Fight for freedom! Fight for freedom!
好，嚟緊我係會用翻廣東話去講嘅嚇，咁呢個就係頭先嘅英文嘅 speech， 咁嘅對象當然會係外國嘅，係聽唔到啊？而家聽唔聽到？係，我嘗試大聲啲啦嚇，係唔好意思，頭先可能啲聲量唔係幾夠，我嘗試大聲啲去講。而家我係會有個好簡短嘅即係廣東話嘅 speech 啦，咁個對象當然就係香港人，內容會少少唔同嘅。咁其實我就係攬炒巴流組的 Fin 啦。可能或者好多人未必知道我係邊一個人。簡單概括嚟講，我就係攬炒團隊嘅發起人，亦係首位提出攬炒論述嘅人，同時亦都係1萬名被捕義士之一，同時亦都係幾位受到中共全球通緝嘅香港人之一。過去即係其實去到今日為止，我哋而家已經係有51個城市、22個國家左右，係去聯合去舉辦呢一個全球聲援香港嘅計劃。如果我哋計埋香港，其實係甚至乎係52個城市、23個國家咁樣去睇。2021年其實就係象徵住香港反送中2週年，亦都係呢一個香港開台180週年，仲有係呢個香港保衛戰嘅80週年。點解會特別提到呢3重嘅意義呢？我相信反送中嘅意義其實大家都明白係非常之重要。 咁但係點解會提到開埠呢？其實就係透過開埠回顧翻開埠嘅歷史，即係例如前面嘅展板，我哋睇到香港同國際嘅淵源，睇到香港嘅歷史底蘊。我哋係可以向世界去講述 Hong Kong is not China 呢一樣嘅道理，同埋可以去講述翻香港同中國嘅分別。同時我哋亦都係講翻呢一個香港人反抗共產黨嘅正當性。而同時之間，點解會講香港保衛戰呢？香港保衛戰，我哋之所以會講佢嘅原因，就係因為其實以前係有非常之多嘅衛港先烈，係包括嚟自英國、印度、澳洲、加拿大嘅士兵係聯防香港，甚至乎係犧牲性命。點解我哋會有重光呢個字出現啊？其實就係源自於香港保衛戰同埋呢段嘅歷史。我亦都好希望嚟緊香港可以迎嚟第二次嘅重光。其實喺3日前6月9號，我同羅冠聰係出席咗一個活動，而一個活動入面係播映咗艾未未嘅電影。呢套電影係講述 Cockroach， 係講述咗香港反送中嘅故事。佢係由梁凌傑兒時墮樓一刻開始，去回顧翻香港過去呢2年嘅情況。呢套電影同 Do Not Split 同理大圍城等等嘅電影一樣，係勾起咗好多人嘅回憶，唔開心嘅回憶、感受、共鳴，包括我在內。我自己睇翻，我預備呢段 speech 嘅時候，我睇翻呢2年嚟，其實我真係經歷咗好多，可能有啲人會比我經歷更加多，但係我自己數落去，我發覺自己俾人拉過，鎖俾人鎖過，打俾人打過，醫院我入過，而家亦都係俾人通緝緊。但係有冇一刻後悔呢？我相信同好多香港人一樣，我係從來冇後悔過喺6月10號嘅時候企出嚟。其實好坦白講，我自己根據自己身體狀況又好，所謂嘅意外風險評估又好，其實我預咗自己條命唔會長到去邊，但係我唔會去怕呢個共產黨，我只會係更加會去堅持去行呢條路行落去，一定係會繼續去行落去，唔會去放棄。其實我係呢刻我見到咁多嘅香港人喺度，其實我係好感動嘅。我真係冇諗過今日係會有咁多嘅香港人，好多謝大家今日去出席呢一個嘅集會。嗱當然唔係呢個唔係完結嘅聲明啊，講明先嚇。其實我哋係好長嘅 run down 嘅。咁最後嘅一番説話就係其實我特別有個宏願或者心願嘅時候，想同大家講啦。尤其是我其實好希望在座所有嘅香港人，包括其他國家流亡嘅手足。喺香港嘅在囚嘅手足，甚至乎其他嘅手足同路人，我希望喺香港200歲生日嘅時候，我哋能夠喺一個光復咗嘅香港，係去慶祝呢一個香港200歲生日。我哋係能夠堂堂正正、抬頭挺胸，喺一個不受恐懼支配底下，去慶祝香港200歲生日，同埋香港保衛戰100週年。我覺得我哋係需要 set 一個死線俾自己，呢個就係我哋嘅目標，以有限創無限。光復香港，時代革命。光復香港，光復香港。多謝大家。
Especially Chief Executive Carrie Lam, Teresa Cheng, Edwina Lau, Chris Tang. We are coming for you, spurred on by the sacrifice of our friends and heroes you have unlawfully detained. So please join me in 1 minute's silence to remember all of those imprisoned for their role in the Hong Kong pro-democracy movement. People today that we vow to honour and ensure that their names are etched into the history books and their courage never forgotten.
Here today on a day that I know is so important for the people of Hong Kong. It's 2 years since the largest march in your history, and I just want to pay tribute to all of you and to all of your brothers and sisters who are still on the island and still fighting against the oppressive authoritarian regime in Beijing. Let's be absolutely clear, what's happened over these last years has been a full frontal assault on democracy, human rights and the rule of law. We've seen the Chinese government completely violating the basis of the Sino-British Declaration of the Basic Law. Those are legally binding obligations that they themselves have signed up to, and it is completely unacceptable that they are disrespecting the rule of law, both in Hong Kong and across the world. There has to be a one country, two systems, and that has to be respected, and it has to be held until such time as all parties agree, as is set out very clearly in the Sino-British Declaration. But instead, we have seen the Chinese government attempting to crush democracy, crush the Legislative Council, crush human rights, the freedom to protest, the freedom to assemble, media freedom, the freedom for you to speak up for what you believe is right. And we have seen the heroes of the resistance movement thrown into prison on the basis of completely trumped up and false charges. I would like to pay tribute to all of them, from Joshua Wong to Jimmy Lai to Agnes Chow, to all of those, and I know these people whose names mean so much, to people such as Nathan Law and Ted Wee, who have managed to get out but who are doing so much to campaign for what you all believe in. I have to say, I'm afraid that the British government here is simply not doing enough. For the last 10 years, we've seen a government, successive governments, that has been naive and complacent in the way that they have been dealing with China. They had this so-called golden era strategy, where they thought that they would open the doors to China, and in return we would see China aligning with international norms, human rights and standards. The opposite has happened. We have seen an increasingly authoritarian regime disregarding the international rule of law in Hong Kong, abusing the human rights of the Uyghur people in Xinjiang, and increasingly belligerent in the South China Sea and Taiwan. This has to stop. The only way it will stop is if the international community comes together and takes a far more robust position.